Let's give you time, so we'll give them a little preview here.
Oh, really? And one time, I used to live overseas. I was on the phone with my I lived in South Africa.
Maybe more than that.
Yeah. Might be contributed.
So apparently there's a sound problem. Hey, John.
Interacting with people, so you sit in the world, you know.
So I'm out wailing.
And human interaction,
We are going to take for just a couple of minutes. We're trying to resolve some technical issues with the sound. So please bear with us. We do pride ourselves on starting at promptly at noon, but we are going to have to be a little bit slack today, unfortunately. So it'll get back to you in about 2 or 3 minutes time. Thank you very much. If you haven't ordered your food, please see the gentlemen and ladies in black. And welcome to Lunch Hour Marketing.
You're here.
Yeah, I was.
do you use emails for this part?
Well, I guess you were
Yeah, that's how I found out.
Well, they took away the sound system after 1 o'clock. Dance work, they could only get this MP3 player. Walmart has it. So when you play their music, all they did was the beat, they didn't need fidelity.
I did see a little bit of
Tell people you're okay. Yeah, you never
in the meantime here. Waiting for the sound to come, sound system to come on. Let's look at what Eric is eating. Eric is
Don't worry,
eating.
you're not on. He's got a slide.
Yeah, why is it just the slide? It's over here. It's not the slide. There. Okay, now we got him. All right. Look at that. Look at that great big hamburger he's got there. Nice juicy hamburger. Yes. Maybe we should hold up the menu. Hold up the menu. There's some new items on the menu. While we're waiting for the sound to get fixed here, let's see, what's the new item? There's a chicken wrap, mozzarella salad, Caesar wrap, chicken tenders, and french fries. Yeah, so we got a new spring menu here, Lamb.
Good afternoon. It's time to begin the program. We have with us an interesting speaker today. And apologies, we encountered a number of technical issues today. We do normally start dead on 12 o'clock noon. But due to technical difficulties, we've had to delay just a little bit, but I hope this just whets your appetite for what's to come. This is Lunch Ann Arbor Marketing. It's 31st of March, just on the cusp of spring. We are a nonprofit organization, and we've been running the Lunch Ann Arbor Marketing program for about 3 and a little bit years, running our lunchtime program each week, focusing on marketing and business issues. Because we are a nonprofit, we do ask for donations, a recommended donation of $3. This is at your discretion. There's no pressure. You're welcome to come anyway. But Stacy, our treasurer, will be passing the hat, bowl, the bucket. So if you would like to make a donation, please do so. Today's speaker is Joel Vergun, and he's talking on an interesting topic that we haven't had presented at Lunch Ann Arbor Marketing before: social marketing and online consumer reviews. So I'd like a warm round of applause to welcome Joel.
Hi, my name is Joel Vergun. I'm an internet entrepreneur and consultant here in the local area. And I used to be an airline pilot and Air Force officer and instructor pilot, and it's been a long time since I did a review, did a presentation like this. The last one I did was on transparency slides and overhead projector. And also I'm used to having a classroom full of students as an instructor pilot that were there because they were ordered to be there, and there would be a test at the end. So all of you just have to pretend that there's going to be a test at the end. You don't have to be there. Okay. I was doing some research for a project I'm working on called Dishfish, which is going to be a consumer review site that raises money for nonprofits. And in the course of my review, I learned a lot about consumer review sites in general, and I'm here to share that with you today. First, let me see if I can get a show of hands in the audience. Who in here is a business owner that uses the online space to market themselves? All right, anybody work as an online marketer or doing online marketing? Okay, how about people who have written a consumer review? Okay, quite a few. People who've used them before making a purchase that have used consumer reviews? All right, good. One more. Anybody who has paid a service like Angie's List or Consumer Reports for the privilege of reading their information? Which one? Consumer Reports? Okay. All right, cool. So that's an idea of who we're here. I'm going to talk to you about social marketing in general. And then we're going to go to consumer reviews online, which is a version of social marketing, and give you some tips for consumers and business owners. So, without further ado. So what is social marketing? First of all, it's a very old thing. It's probably as old as humankind. You got Adam and Eve and the snake there. That was an example of somebody who took a bad recommendation on a product. And it's something we can't help doing. It's instinctive, it's automatic, it's self-imposed. I mean, we are human animals, we're social creatures. And as a social animal, we crave social input. And we're always worried about, what other people are going to think of me? What am I going to do? Am I making the right choice? I don't know, I'm scared, tell me what to do. These are things that human beings do. And because we have so much more information now and we're the same animal, we make a lot of mistakes. We've transferred a lot of old paradigms onto the internet. The internet doesn't work the same way as the Yellow Pages, for example. And so a lot of things happen that we don't anticipate. And we're going to learn how to take care of that today. If you don't believe that social influence has power over you, ask yourself about your choices in dress. Okay, I have some kids here in Chicago. This is me and Dad and Mom, leisure suits. If you think that's old news, look around. Who invented this thing? Okay, neckties. Make sense? No. High heels, ladies? Social pressures is what people expect us to wear. We wear to conform or to rebel or whatever it is that we happen to want to do. Other factors and social factors in the buying decision. We have internal biases, what we like, what we think we like, who we trust, who we don't trust. We like to do good. If somebody's done something for us, we'll return the favor and patronize their business perhaps, or recommend them to a friend. We'll do it to support good causes. Maybe you see somebody supports your kid's Little League team and you'll use that as a business. We do it to based on what other people say, and therein lies consumer reviews. Because when you need something, when you have the need for a product or service, like in this example, you're either going to know it yourself and take your own advice. Because how many people take their own advice first? Okay, oh come on. All right, or you're going to ask somebody you trust. You're going to get word of mouth recommendation from somebody you trust. But if somebody you trust isn't available, you're going to go on looking for other options for that information. You're going to maybe remember an ad, a sign, or an example. Maybe you saw a car drive by, you're in the market for cars, and you really like the look of that car. Well, you might just check out that automobile. You're going to look up in a directory. That could be the Yellow Pages, or you could go online, yellowpages.com. You could Google it, find a Google local listing, some kind of directory. An interesting thing, though, is if you look at most of the online directories, virtually all of them have added reviews. You're going to find some number of reviews with star ratings, what people have said about them. Because directories, that's the example of transferring an offline product like the Yellow Pages online, and then realizing that, hey, we can do better. We can add real-time content, real information that people have provided third parties, consumer reviews. And then there are consumer review sites itself, which is written word of mouth, if you will, where you pretty much get rid of the directory and you put the review up front, and then you click through the review to find out who they're talking about. The nice thing about consumer reviews is we trust it because it's third-party advice. It's not the seller or an advertiser working for the seller. At least we hope it's not. We presume that it's unbiased, but we really don't know because it's based on unknown people with unknown motivations. If I come up to you, Ross, and say, hey, can you recommend a good restaurant? You might tell me. And I have some idea who you are, and I can look at them, even if it's a stranger on the street. You can see how confident they are and whether it seems like they know what they're talking about. You can't do that online. It's a lot harder. Some sites try to do that. They try to give you a way to put up your profile so you can get to know the person. But unless you actually know that person, you don't know that person. Another problem with it is there are too few reviews and too many sites. There's a whole lot of sites collecting consumer reviews. There's not a lot of way that they talk to each other. There's only a few sites that aggregate them. I'll show you those later. And that results, especially in the local market, that you may have a business that only has 4 reviews, 2 reviews, 1 review. What if you're that business that's 1 review and it's a bad one? Okay. A problem that results from this is that you get an inverse bell curve. So what's the bell curve? It's average distribution. You got businesses that don't do a good job most of the time, the average business, and the businesses that do a really good job most of the time. But when you go to a review site, what kind of reviews do you usually see, especially on services or where there's a limited number of reviews? Say that again, really good or really bad. You can see 1-star reviews and 5-star reviews, or they review themselves, right? So you get an inverted bell curve, really bad, really good, and very few in the middle. So you really don't get a good idea how that business performs, or that product, from one day to the next. The last one says contaminated by marketing tricks. Well, one marketing trick you mentioned is go in and pretend to be a customer and review yourself. Okay, works great, especially if you can be anonymous or use pseudonyms, things like that. Or you can hire a marketing company to go in and hire people to write, get this is what they call it, paid unbiased reviews. Now truly, this is unbiased. They go and they find people, often bloggers or people who are already doing reviews. How many people are blog? Have a blog that actually gets a lot of traffic, a fair amount of traffic that, don't put your hand down. And you've reviewed a product or service. Okay, a couple of you. How many of you have been approached by marketers? Anybody? Okay, they offer you something in exchange for doing this. Maybe here's a new latest cell phone. Not quite that good, but yeah, okay. So this is what happens. Sometimes they'll send somebody a brand new cell phone if this is somebody who reviews cell phones, and they'll say, here it is. It's just for evaluation, but you can keep it. And would you please review it? And of course, if it's not absolute crap, it's going to get a pretty good review because they've done them the favor of being able to keep it. So you have to worry about who you're dealing with and why they're writing. Another reason that people write is out of emotion. You know, you see those 1-star, 5-star reviews because people, you know, this is my son, and I'm going to write a good review for his business. Okay, or you see a 1-star review because they're just angry at that business, or it's just somebody having a bad day. I'll show you an example later of somebody who wrote 3 reviews under a pseudonym, 3 only, and they were all grumpy. But anyway, those are the problems that you have with consumer reviews. So unlike real-world word of mouth, you don't know who to listen to, and there are some things you can do to decide whether you should listen to a consumer review. And look at how it says what it says. You know, is it really true, or is it just truthy? Just seems true. Does it conform with your expectations? Now this time, you might find a truthful review that surprises you, and you may dismiss it. You might find a review that tells you what you expect to hear and believe it even though it isn't true. And the question is it facts or opinion? Who's the reviewer? Anonymous? Pseudonymous? Is that how you pronounce it? I'm going to write it. Anyway, somebody can write in with a pseudonym, make up a name, and then there's something that's similar to pseudonyms or handles, and that's somebody who sounds familiar. You pick a familiar name, Mary Smith, something like this, and it sounds like somebody you would know, and so you give them credence. A lot of times, this is how you vote for judges commission, for example. Oh, that name reminds me of somebody in high school, right? So you vote for them? Okay. So then there's people you think you know. Actors, for example, is a good example. Friends and acquaintances. We trust experts. We trust people that subconsciously we treat as experts even though they're not. We trust people more who are like us than who are unlike us. They share our age, our gender, where we live, our ethnicity, things we like, and our beliefs as well. And then there are people we simply trust because they're an authority figure in our lives. So here's an example of people you think you know. You remember when you joined Twitter? When I joined Twitter, I don't know if they're still doing this, this guy popped up. And it's like suddenly I'm following him. Does anybody remember following Ashton Kutcher? Okay. So,
You're the only one, Joel.
I'm the only one. Okay. All right. Anyway. Well, marketers hire people, you know, Ashton Kutcher, any celebrity you can name, you know, Dr. Phil, Tiger Woods, you know, which one of those two would you take sporting goods advice from? Which one would you take marriage advice from? How about hair care? Okay. Sorry. Pictures would have better, but anyway. Experts and pseudo-experts. We have real experts in expert organizations. We're talking about Consumer Reports, J.D. Power and Associates. They do in-depth examinations and studies and reviews and surveys. They have very good methodologies. They make themselves expert and they're available to the public. You have individual experts who have great recognized expertise in a particular topic. You have the example actors. Who remembers this commercial? You're going to be over 40, okay? I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. Really, they did that. Okay. And people bought it. And then we get a lot of credence to newscasters and talk show hosts. You know, Rachel Maddow, Rush Limbaugh. You know, pick your topic or ideology. And probably we shouldn't. So let me give you an example of expert advice, and also how expert advice might interact with other things like your own preconceived notions. J.D. Power Associates at jdpower.com, they do an annual vehicle dependability study. We're in Ann Arbor. How many car people in here? Anybody from Car and Driver, Automobile Magazine? Okay, no? Okay, good. I can say anything I want, get away with it. They use a good methodology. They survey owners, so this is what people say, what other people say, condensed into statistics for you. So let's do an example. Let's talk about German imports versus American cars. Now think about this. Think about quality, price, what you'd rather be seen in, the car you've always wanted, okay? And let's look at what J.D. Power has to say. So for entry-level luxury cars, I don't know, can everybody read that in the back? Okay, well, we're comparing a Cadillac versus the C-Class, Cadillac CTS versus the C-Class. And then for mid-size sedans, Chevrolet Malibu versus Volkswagen Passat. And then, of course, large cars, high-ranked large cars in initial quality. And as you can see, the German cars take all the awards. So, is that what everybody saw? Okay. If you didn't see that, did you experience confirmation bias? Were you expecting the German cars to take all the awards? I was. Okay. Because you expected that, and you see that J.D. Power found, okay, I cherry-picked, there are plenty of German cars, but for this example, do you maybe doubt their methodology less? Do you think they're less of an expert because they disagreed with what you already thought? Yes, I see some heads nodding. Okay. Honestly, which would you rather be seen in, that Mercedes or Cadillac, the Malibu or the Passat? So, this all goes just to prove the point. Which has more influence on you, facts or social factors? Your experts or your neighbors? Do you care so much about quality and price? You say you do, but when you go to actually buy, it's what the snake is telling you to eat that apple. All right, let's change gears a little bit. Now that we've talked about social marketing and its effect and how powerful it is on us, I'm going to talk about consumer review sites. We'll give a few samples and tips. We're going to talk about consumer review sites. They're basically divided into several areas. There are those that cover services, those that cover products, those that cover places, and then there are specialty sites and mashups and various versions, variations on a theme of consumer reviews. We'll look at these 4 sites, or at least discuss them briefly. For services, you may have heard of Angie's List. How many people have heard of Angie's List? How many people have heard of Service Magic? Okay, they advertise on TV, that's why I picked them. Okay. Specialty sites, if you needed a babysitter, would you find them on Craigslist? Would you go to sitters.com? They specialize in babysitters, but I don't know that I would. There's a real trust issue there. So you have to consider how much you trust. You could also Google, ratings of and whatever service you're looking at, because just about every niche is covered. Just about every niche you can think of. Okay, I mean, you can Google ratings of escorts, and you will find really neat sites. For example, and I'm not talking about the Ford model car. Here's Angie's List. Some of the unique things about Angie's List is you, the consumer, pay to read reviews on Angie's List or to write a review. And they say that because you pay and you sign your name to the review, it's going to be unbiased. They have real people read it, and they charge you enough money to afford to have real people read your review. And they say that from reading it and gauging whether they can tell whether it's truth, or at least truthy, and decide whether it's up there. If you say a bad thing about a business, then the business can come back and counter it. And they have a conflict resolution service, but of course the business has to join as well in order to use that service. So you can pretty much tell their business model. Charge you, charge the consumer, charge the business owner, be the intermediary, and say, hey, we're just providing a service here, don't sue us. Here's their prices. Up here you can see their prices. They have a monthly price, and it's by zip code. It's half as much money to get on there in New York City as it is in Ann Arbor, by the way. So what do you do if you travel? I don't know. Can you sign up in New York City and get reviews in Ann Arbor? It might be worth a try. Save yourself some money. Okay, for products, Google the product type. Automobiles. Okay. There's one site I found just Googling product reviews, eopinions.com. Didn't look at it very long, but they do. They try to be a generalist for that. You can look for reviews on any merchant's website. You'll find a lot of merchants are now using something called power reviews, where if you have a specialty shop selling high-end women's shoes, for example, and you only sell a few, and none of your customers have written reviews, it doesn't matter. If it's a mass-produced product, you can go to a site like Power Reviews and tie in with the SKU or product code, and you'll get hundreds of reviews on a pair of shoes that you can use on your website. A really cool tool. They charge for it, but take a look and see if it's worth it. For places, there's a lot of places to go for places, okay? Google Local, Yelp, which we'll cover in a minute. Next Stop allows you to create tour guides. So you sign up, you go to a city, you put in your sites, put pictures of the sites, describe them, and string them from one place to another to create a tour. Windows Live or Bing, there are other services. I don't want to be so Google heavy, so I'm just mentioning them. Now that I've done that, I keep being Google heavy. Google Maps, believe it or not, is an excellent site for consumer reviews. You wouldn't think it, but I'll show you here. Yelp is free to consumers. It allows you to put in fake names. It allows you to put in friends lists. It's social. It allows you to put in friends lists. Flexible. You can create your own profile. You can create not tours exactly, but different lists of different types of businesses, and it doesn't have to be specifically, restaurants, plumbers. It can be any kind of list, which we'll see in a moment. One thing you should know, there are at least 2 that I can find class action lawsuits right now against Yelp for the practice that's come to be known as Yelp mailing. I spoke to the candy and coffee shop down the street here. That's in a little house setback. What's that called? It's changing names. Yeah. Well, anyway, I talked to the proprietor there, and they said that actually a salesperson from Yelp approached them, wanted $300 to run an ad for them. Does anybody else have a business or heard of Yelp or used Yelp or know any salespeople in Yelp? They're in town, they're around, and they're making money, and they're doing it by getting businesses, because businesses are their business model, they get businesses to pay. The lawsuits are based on not what some people said something bad and you don't like it, so you sue the person who wrote it and you sue Yelp for posting it. Basically, Yelp's immune to those kind of lawsuits because of rulings that say if you host a forum like that and you meet certain requirements, you can't be sued for what other people say. They're being sued for extortion. The idea is that some of these salespersons, it is alleged, maybe wrote some bad reviews and then went to these businesses and said, well, the way to counter bad reviews is by putting up an ad, and we can help you with that. So that's what that's about. However, having looked at it, it's a really fun site. Yelp is there for business owners. You can find your business and set up an account, confirm it. You're up in Conroe, Neal, Ann Arbor, Michigan, found it right away. You select it, it shows you the rating, and that's an average rating, a number of stars. You can create a profile, and you can create different lists. Here's Sam. Sam was in Ann Arbor until a couple of years ago. He's now in San Francisco. Don't know if this is his real name, don't know him personally, but got a nice profile. You can see the profile list. Put in friends, your number of reviews, tips, bands, photos. You can create your own lists. For example, I thought that mountain lions were extinct in Michigan. Okay, but he seems to think that you can hunt them in Ann Arbor, and he's created a list for them. And surprise, surprise, Connor O'Neill's. I like to call this place the Cougar Petting Zoo. Who knew? Okay. And it lets you vote on the review. Was it useful? Was it funny? Okay. So it's a pretty interesting spot. Google Maps. Here's the surprise entrance. Google Maps is a great aggregator of review. If you look up here, I'm going to take this slide apart for you a little bit. Okay. We can. All right. It shows you how many reviews there are, where they are, directions, of course, how to get here, bus routes. Bus routes, anybody? All right. But the neat thing here is this summary. It not only quotes other review sites. Google's great about scraping other sites against their terms of service. They don't care. I don't know how they get away with it. 800-pound gorilla thing, I guess. But the neat thing is here, for example, you're a restaurant owner, Google any restaurant and see what other sites they scrape. So you want to get posted on restaurantrow.com, okay, beeradvocate.com, I suppose if you sell beer, tripadvisor.com, insiderpages.com. I can't even pronounce the last one. But that's a good way to actually find out where you might want to get listed. As a marketer, as a business owner, just go to Google Maps and see where they're scraping, because they know they're Google. Google also provides mobile reviews, which you can get from your phone. And they're coming out with a new product which is like a combination of Street View. So you come up to a place, you can look at it in Street View on your Android and point to it, click on it, and read reviews about it, see videos. And meanwhile, you're standing outside when you should be inside getting a reservation. Okay, local does have a few problems. There's too few reviews, too many review sites, one over listing, 1-star, 5-star problem. What you do is find a specialty site for what you're looking for. Google restaurants, Ann Arbor reviews. Use an aggregator like Google Maps if you can find one. The question is, what happens? What do you do if you're a business owner and this happens? This says, 1 review. Incompetent. I gave them all my tax info and they messed it up. This is a local tax preparer, a client of mine. Anyway, so this was posted at first by, pseudonymously by Sherry's Free when it first appeared. And so we Googled Sherry's Free. So what else did she say? She didn't like, there's a day spa in town, she didn't like them, so she complained about the staff there. And then she didn't like the McDonald's, and she complained about the McDonald's because they charged for everything like cheese. Okay. And there was no other sign. When I went back to it to create this presentation, Sherry's Free was replaced with her name, which was Shelley Troy, T-R-O-Y-E. And Shelley in the audience?
She might be.
Okay. The neat thing about that is, did she know that her name was going to be put there instead of her handle when it happened? The other thing is, Googling Shelley Troy in Michigan, I found nothing. So it's probably a pseudonym. And the third thing is, it gives it a lot more impact when it's signed by that familiar sounding name than if it was just a handle like Shelley's Free. So that's a problem for my client. So what do I tell them to do? Here's what to do if you have your nightmares. Fix it. Find out, first of all, are you a victim and where? The usual things that you do to go about search engine optimization, Google yourself, find out where you're listed, where they do reviews. Google the name of your business and the word review or rating, and find these sites. Go there and look at what you have. You'll see a lot of the same reviews because a lot of sites share reviews. But when you find the sites that come up above the fold on any search, go ahead and go there and click on Write a Review. Find out exactly what link it takes to write a review. Copy that, and then compose a really nice email. And maybe call or send the email to your best customers. Ask them, say, look, I've been slandered. I know I've done a good job for you. You've got great tax returns, and can you help me out? I've got this one review that's just really a problem. Would you write some reviews for me? The one thing you don't want to do is offer to compensate them. Just thank them. Okay? You try to compensate somebody, puts pressure on them, it's going to bias their review. The tone of the review will sound like somebody who's written something that they've been compensated for. The other thing, and this doesn't apply to individual review writers right now, although it might, is that actually the Federal Trade Commission is cracking down on marketing tricks. Right now they're only going after the marketing companies, the ones that hire lots of people or bloggers to do paid unbiased reviews. And if the rule is if you've been compensated, you've been given a free phone or free dinner or free dessert, you have to state that in the body of the review. If you don't, it's an $11,000 fine per recurrence. They're not going after individuals right now. They're not going after Angie's List or Google right now. Right now they're going after the marketing companies that actually solicit these kinds of things. But still, it's just not a good practice. If you're asking for an unbiased review, don't bias the review. That's just my advice. Okay, other online resources you might consider. Depends on what you're interested in. Advocacy groups. If you are a causey, believe in one of these causes or wedge issues, you want to promote some social good, pick your side and go to their website. A lot of sites will have boycott lists or places they prefer or the names of companies that support them, and patronize those companies or avoid those companies. A couple I put up here because they're pretty good this way. They may not be your side, but the Human Rights Campaign, which supports equality for gays and lesbians, they produce a booklet called, they produce a booklet which tells you which employers are good to work for and which aren't. And in red or green, And in fact, 2 local employers here actually are on the 10 worst list. That's Domino's and Meijer. So sometimes there are conflicting things. You want to support local businesses, but you may not want to support local businesses that don't support your cause. Or if this is your cause, hey, go buy from Domino's and Meijer. So the AFL-CIO, the union website, they have a site that will have union boycotts. For example, if you're looking to get off of Comcast, they'll tell you that Dish Network is trying to bust the electricians, that you may not want to use. Online groups and email lists. Anybody here? How many here are at A2B3 lunch? Okay. Can you recommend a good Tamil tutor? Okay, A2B3, there's an email list of about 400 people, and you can ask for anything, and people will respond. With 400 people in Ann Arbor, you can get an answer on almost anything. Close to real time. Okay, your social networks, Facebook, Twitter, business groups, I'm going to speed it up, we're almost done. Expert and hobbyist sites, you're woodworking, looking for a good pointer, go to a woodworking site. YouTube. For those of you who are reading impaired, you can go there and see videos. There's a great song that somebody put together after they saw their expensive guitar being tossed around the United Airlines airplane by contracted employees, but United broke my guitar. And then you can go to suck sites. Type in the product, the name of the product or the business, and the word sucks, and you'll get all the bad reviews you want. Okay, I want to thank or point out to local entrepreneurs. DishFish is what I'm putting together. It supports does fundraising by using consumer review sites to raise businesses. I got to work in that elevator. Adrenaline Commerce, e-commerce, e-commerce, and Joe Minnick for putting together a website. RateMyStudentRental.com is a specialty site. Kind of says it all, doesn't it? Steve, right here, that's his site. You refer as a business that as a business-to-business referral site uses social marketing to help business people refer other businesses that they pay for. So those are some examples. There's others. Anybody else have an example they want to bring up? We'll pass one they introduce it, please do. So with all that, that concludes the talk, and hopefully we can get back to a state of bliss in the Garden of Eden.
Joel, thank you very much. It's time to open up for questions. So does anybody have a question for Joel?
Yeah, I was wondering, at this point, do you feel like the brand of the opinion site matters? Like, are consumers savvy enough to understand that this particular site is legitimate versus not? Or could I create my own review site, review myself, saying I'm really great, and nobody would know the wiser?
Well, that's a good question. It's kind of a question on spoofing. If you create your own review site, I suppose you could create your own seal of approval and put it on your website. It looks great. It's when people start clicking through that it would be a problem. You have to have a lot of content, it seems to me, for that to be considered credible. Anybody else?
I'll look for you.
I feel like large businesses are pretty much immune from reviews. I mean, is Domino's, even though with their YouTube thing last year, are they immune from bad reviews because they're so widespread?
Is any business immune from bad reviews? One word, Toyota. It depends, I guess. It depends on who you are. My sister, who has a wife in California, she won't order from Domino's. So I think they're. I don't know. That's a good question. Didn't Domino's just go on an ad campaign? What was their ad campaign? Oh, we used to suck, but now we're using good ingredients.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say no, they're not immune.
I wanted to hear more about the site that was to generate revenue for nonprofits, representing the nonprofit community. That interests me. Could you talk about that a little?
Well, the idea, I'll talk about the general idea behind it, and we can talk later, so I don't sit here and shame this and stuff about. But the idea is that consumer reviews have value. We talk about marketers going and paying for unbiased reviews. And marketers are willing to pay for reviews. They're willing to pay for reviews that people write and on behalf of the organizations and causes they support. So the idea generally is that if you write a review, can you get somebody to pay for that review, to use it as a paid testimonial, and give that money to your nonprofit? Other questions?
Who's the government agency that has the $11,000 penalty for marketers, and have there been any cases?
The answers are the Federal Trade Commission, and I don't know. Does anybody have any information on it? The ruling just came out late last year, so I don't know what the status of the cases or how they've proceeded.
As a consumer, why would I want to pay to write a review? What would be my motivation to pay to submit a review?
Ego. People like to write and like to be heard. There's a certain group of people, we would call them mavens, who just get a kick out of sharing what they know. And especially if you're going to, especially if you've already paid or you use the site, or maybe somebody's asked you to write a review on Angie's List, for example. That would be the example. I would think that's why people would pay to write a review.
Also, a business writing a review and paying for it, it's a promotional cost for them to promote their business.
And that's one thing I didn't mention about Angie's List, is that the cost was like $22 a month recurring. And the idea is that a business would not pay somebody $22 to recoup their cost of getting on Angie's List to write a nice review about them. That's the part that I really don't think is credible. So there's really not a very low barrier to biased reviews.
Have you seen any figures for
Away from the speaker.
have you seen I lost my train of thought. Oh, have you seen any figures from any business, whether it's e-commerce or local business or anything like that, like sales figures before and after either implementing online or reviews on their website, or after starting to seriously take control of their online reviews, like the one client you said who had one bad review?
Well, as you know, statistics are tough, and if you don't have a control group, it's hard to do a study that would definitively answer that. What you can say is that by having reviews that link back to your business, it improves your page rank in the search engine. So it's really important for search engine optimization if people are going to find you on that first page.
I have two. I'm going to put that away. Just two quick questions. One you may have answered, it might be obvious, but are there aggregators other than going to Google and just searching a brand name? Are there review site aggregators you could go and that might be somewhat comprehensive that pull reviews from various sites that you'd recommend?
Yeah, I believe ePinions was one of them, and Google, and you could just Google review aggregators, I suppose, but I didn't really research that.
And then my second quick question was, for some of the major review sites, like Consumer Reports, J.D. Power, any tips or thoughts on getting into their review process or getting into their category process or anything? Any experience with that?
I don't know. Does anyone have any input on how to get into consumer reviews surveys or J.D. Power? Any other questions?
Great, both Joel, thank you so much. Another round of applause.
And before we move into the roundtable introductions, just a few announcements. Derek Marabon, who normally leads the Lunch and Arbor Marketing Group, sends his regards. He's away on business this week. And we do stream Lunch and Arbor Marketing live, so if there are occasions when you can't make the live event, you can log on to the LA2M.org site to connect with the live streaming. And if you're new to LAM and you weren't able to sign in because of one of our earlier technical hitches, you can also go to the LA2M.org site and register. We put out a weekly newsletter that lists upcoming events so that you know what's coming up. And introductions will quickly go around the table. Introduce yourself, perhaps your business or your objective, and if you have an ask. And we'll start off with Ellie. Welcome, Ellie.
And my name is Ali Hashmi. I actually found this recently through my friend Adam, and was interested in learning a little bit more about marketing.
I'm Ross Johnson with 3.7 Designs. We're a web design internet marketing company, and we work with companies like Arbor.com and ProQuest with their web design needs.
I'm Mark Olivier, and I do affiliate marketing.
I'm Mary New Olds. I have an extensive background in marketing. I'm currently in transition, so excuse me, if you know an organization that's looking for an experienced marketing individual, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy Ma. I'm starting a website for self-publishing for children's book in multiple languages. And I'm looking for someone on a part-time basis for copy editing and PR.
I'm Bill Keene. I'm a real estate agent here in town.
Sorry, I'm paying my bill right now. Name's Adam Kripke. I volunteer at the Body, Mind, Spirit Wellness Center on State Street, and just came to see what this place is all about.
Hi, Mike Wynn with Sandler Training, and we work with business owners who are looking to grow their business, professionals who are uncomfortable with the nuts and bolts of selling, and companies looking to grow their sales teams.
Susan Harris, technical writer.
Good afternoon. My name is Gerald Bricker. My company is Advise Consulting LLC. I'm a business consultant and coach. I specialize in strategic planning, organizational development, customer loyalty planning, and leadership training. I help people and companies to grow, so I'm Miracle Grow for you and your business.
Hi, Tom Crawford. I teach business people how to communicate better using the visual arts. But I wanted to remind everybody that TEDx U of M is a week from Saturday, and applications to submit are due at the end of day on Friday. There's only 250 seats. There's already 400 applications in. So if you want to get your seat for TEDx U of M, I highly recommend it. Speaker list is going to be amazing. Bill Kirschbaum in text writing. I write technical content and grant proposals for small businesses.
Nathan Shepard, experience with supply chain, replenishment analysis of orders, and also management experience with Marriott for 2 years with 180 associates reporting to me, and looking to get into marketing because that's what my degree is in, and specifically marketing research. And I have a passion for training and other areas because I worked for Franklin Covey for a while and really loved that.
Hi, Diane Sheldon Koo. I'm with ProQuest. We provide information to libraries.
I'm Leda from Affordable Computers. We specialize in refurbished computers.
Paul Krauth. I just like the subject matter. Thought I'd show up.
I am Vivian Bird. My company is Bird Communications. I'm a writer with a varied subject background. I've done a lot of newspaper, magazine articles, a lot of web content, and some human resources and benefits materials. If you need any of that, I'm here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eric Rodriguez with Ingenix Digital Marketing.
I'm Roger Rail. I live stream this and record it. Also want to put a plug in for TEDx U of M. It is limited seating. They will be streaming the event live, so if you can't get in, and it is really restricted, you can at least watch it live.
I'm Cheryl Pfeiffer. I'm in career transition myself from the information, library, competitive intelligence, and training background.
Hi, my name is Ellie Nell. I'm at the Carytown Concert House, an intimate venue with world-class music.
Hi, I'm Amanda Yuley from 826 Michigan, a writing and tutoring center for kids, and I'm a speaker next week, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'm Peter Clay. I just joined the team at Parrish Advertising and Design as their Director of Business Development. Came from Tribune Company in Chicago, Tribune Interactive, and just wanted to meet people and come on out. It's definitely an interesting topic.
Hi, I'm Karen Dickinson. I'm a web designer specializing in CSS and HTML, doing some work for Vergun Commerce, so you will see my stuff up on the screen momentarily. I'm a freelancer and enjoying my time.
Joe Minock with the Journal of Commerce, and actually today I'm really happy to announce that we focus completely on e-commerce. We've been doing that since the beginning, but we've just launched our e-commerce starter kit. And as Joel mentioned, there's a great deal of importance with consumer recommendations, and the e-commerce platform that we work with actually does include consumer reviews. And our e-commerce starter package starts at $2,500. For those of you who have researched e-commerce solutions for small and medium-sized businesses, we're very, very competitively priced. So if you know of anybody that's looking to get into e-commerce, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to talk with them. I also get to introduce our new e-commerce intern who I've known for almost 29 years now. This is Mom. Carla Minock is our new social media intern. So everybody say hi, Mom.
I'm Steve Schwartz. I own a company, RateMyStudentRental.com. I also have a company that builds web-based software called Alpha Django.
Carter Sherwin from Print Studios, and I do commercial, editorial, and portrait photography.
Well, hi, I'm Joel Vergun, and I am working on a project called Dishfist, the website launched today. Last night, okay. It's not fully functional, but you can go up and sign up, and if you have a business or nonprofit organization, I'll let you know when it's up. What it does is that it brings warmly referred customers to highly regarded businesses through their social networks and the community organizations and causes they support.
And I am Dee Davey, Creative Ideas Marketing. I'm an independent marketing contractor specializing in services marketing. I help overstretched and under-resourced marketing managers get projects off their desk. I step in and fulfill key projects where there isn't a requirement for a full-time investment of full-time staff. I also help development teams create and launch new products for revenue. And I help marketing agencies get under the skin of their clients, teasing out key messaging and identifying new opportunities for marketing projects that will help their clients' businesses grow. In my spare time, I'm also the voice of Lunch Ann Arbor Marketing. I work with Derek to pull the program together and communicate out and do lots of other things to bring everyone together on a Wednesday. And it's my pleasure to announce next week's speaker. Amanda, would you please stand? We have Amanda Hewley from 826 Michigan, who's going to be talking about marketing to nonprofits. So see you next week at Lunch Ann Arbor Marketing. See you then.